Jaime Fallon's joining the podcast today. Jamie's a distinguished broker associate, team lead, and director of sales at NextGen Real Estate, specializing in the Houston real estate market.
Yes, sir.
Jaime, welcome. Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you for having me. I appreciate it.
I understand you also have a portfolio of investment properties as well.
I do. I just recently, I'm kind of a residential developer, so I just recently built 4 properties, 4-story townhomes per se, and I just sold the last one at the beginning of January.
Awesome. I love that. The topic of real estate investment is, I think, something that's not talked about enough amongst realtors and agents and brokers. So that's a topic for another podcast episode for sure, but I'd love to get some of your input on that topic as well sometime. Jaime, before we dive into the work that you're doing there in Houston and your career and how you grew your business, share for listeners a little bit of your background, your hometown, your education, and what drew you to real estate as a career.
Yeah, so when I grew up in the San Antonio area. My family was from a military background. My father was a fire chief in Universal City, Texas. So I lived there my entire life till I went to college at A&M. After I graduated at A&M, I went into the pharmaceutical industry. And so I was there for about 10 years. And so being in the pharmaceutical industry, you're trained by some of the best salespeople in the country, in the world. And I worked for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals at one point. So they trained me to be a killer in real estate. I mean, people don't take no for an answer when they come to my houses. I mean, I sell them rather quickly. You can see days on market for most of my properties are pretty quick. And so from then, I thought, okay, I'm 22 years old. I have this money coming in. What do I do with it? So I decided to build my first property at 22 years old. I didn't have much. I paid off all my student loans. I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this small amount? I think I got an FHA loan with 3.5% down. That's all the money I had. And so I started doing that, and I did it with a builder, and I kind of custom built this home. It was very small. I don't know, it might have been a couple $100,000. But then I took that money and I essentially did it again and again and again, but I never had my real estate license. So flash forward to 2014, I'd been an investor for years, and I thought, why am I giving my money away to somebody else to sell properties when I know how to do this very well? Sales is my background. So I got my license. I immediately started selling. I mean, my first month out, I think I sold, 100,000 or not 100,000, a couple 100,000 in sales. So I thought, okay, I can do this. So I quit my day job and I just kept going and kept going. And so now I'm revered as a very successful investor in Houston. I have 230 agents under us at NextGen Real Estate, where I'm the supervisory broker. Our CEO, Julie Wayne, created this. I mean, it is a badass brokerage. We are probably the number one company in terms of social media sales in real estate in Houston. And I would probably put us against some other heavy hitters in the country, to be honest.
Yeah, I first connected with you via social media, and not only is your personal social media really strong, but the company's is as well, for sure. Real estate compared to pharmaceutical sales, I'm not going to make you answer this, but I'm guessing transitioning to real estate is pretty easy for a successful pharma salesperson.
Yeah, I think the entry level to get into real estate is rather low, and I don't necessarily like that, because I think last year they said that 70% of real estate agents did 0 sales, which is concerning. I mean, why do we have people out there running around with a real estate license that are responsible for someone's biggest investment they're going to have in their entire lives, and they've never done a transaction? That blows my mind. Your great Aunt Sally, who's, retired, bless her heart, that's great and all, but do you really want her doing the biggest transaction of your life? So that's where I'm a little bit different. I am 100% real estate. Our agents in our brokerage, I would say 70% of them, that's what they do for a living. They don't do it part-time. We're really selective in who we pick to be in our brokerage.
I 100% agree with what you just said about the barrier being a little bit too low. I think it's really too low. And I think that there needs to be a much higher level of commitment to be a licensee. But again, topic for another podcast episode for sure. But I definitely agree with you there. I actually began my commission sales career in the automotive industry, and spent about 13 years, if you include selling Harley Davidsons, about 13 years in that industry. And I can tell you that in the few years that I've been in real estate, it's funny how what some realtors struggle with and are afraid of doing, I find so easy compared to where I came from, compared to what I, how persuasive and what I had to ask clients to do in previous industries. One example would be the signing the buyer's agency agreement prior to showing a home. I'm like, what?
Like,
that's
why,
a no-brainer.
why wouldn't you want to get paid for your services? If you can't sell someone on your services, how are you going to sell a home? So I'm just like, why is this even an issue? I laughed when this whole ruling came out, and I was kind of glad because I said, it's going to push a lot of agents over the edge to get out of the industry entirely. And we did see a drop off. And then, of course, there's always a new crop that comes up that's, hungry and ready to go, but they don't make it a year. And so us oldies that have been doing it forever, it's just kind of like, you can't faze me anymore.
Yeah.
You can't faze me with interest rates. You can't. I mean, my first house that I built, I want to say my interest rate was like 15% or something crazy.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
remember those days.
Yes, let's go. We'll sell all day long. So anyway.
Exactly. I remember responding to in a sales meeting a year ago about when rates started creeping up, and there was so much fear around the market crashing, and I remember chiming in, well, they always have the option of paying cash.
Yeah.
Like it's not, the rates aren't my problem.
Yeah.
So
Like,
okay. Can't change it. Anyway, well, I totally can see how the transition from very successful, and I have no doubt, I've had acquaintances over the years and friends who are outstanding pharmaceutical sales reps, and I have no doubt that the sales training that you were exposed to there was really, really high caliber.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, it was features and benefits, and and I always tell my agents when I'm training them, we have a weekly training on Wednesdays that I lead, and we'll have 50 agents show up to our trainings, which is not like any other brokerage I've ever seen in Texas, for that matter, but I don't even know about nationwide. But I always tell them, you need to sell Gucci. When you're putting a listing out there, I don't want to see the home is light and bright and airy. Who cares? I want to know, what are my faucets made of? What kind of quartz are you using? Is it 2 centimeter? Is it 3 centimeter? Is it, show me the benefits of buying this house. Is there solar? Okay, the benefit to your client is you're never losing power when all of Houston's going to sit without it for 2 weeks, because we legit get a major storm at least once or twice a year. So it's those little things that set our agents apart, and they know how to talk the talk like a pharma rep now. Yeah. So the other thing we have, people laugh about NextGen agents. Most of our agents are very attractive, and I don't know why that's happened. I think it's because Julia Wang has created this environment on Instagram where, she shows her lifestyle, and she shows her Gucci lifestyle, whereas most of us, we don't have that. But she's created that collaboration and that collaborative factor. I mean, we have this policy that my listing is your listing is her listing. And so why would we want to gatekeep and not allow other agents to share our listings? That's beyond me. I know there's a lot of Keller Williams and Remax and Coldwell Banker old school agents are like, why are you sharing my listing? I'm like, because do you not want to sell it? Do you not like money? Do you not want to impress your clients? Like, why are you doing that? So we're just a little bit different in that aspect.
I 100% agree with that too, about the benefit of sharing and collaborating on listings. I share local luxury listings all the time. I have great relationships with brokers who are outside of my office, who are with other brokerages, and I'm always doing video walkthroughs of their listings, and I've grown a pretty nice YouTube channel here locally by doing that. So I think that for me, it's always a red flag if an agent is unwilling to
Yeah.
allow me to promote their listing.
Yeah.
I think that's a little that mentality is a little bit dated.
I think it's very narcissistic
Yeah.
in my eyes. I mean, it takes two people. It takes a tribe, it takes a village, raising a kid. Well, being a real estate takes a village. If you don't have that relationship across the board, how are you going to sell somebody's house? I can call somebody. There's a specific example. I'm trying to sell a few of these new construction duplexes that I have here. Great prices. And one of my buddies who I've been trying to recruit him to NextGen forever. He's a top selling agent. I'm like, Wale, why aren't you going over there? Why aren't you? I literally text him like 10 times. He's like, fine, I'll go. And I'm like, your people have bookmarked it. I need you to see this thing. I just need you to put eyes on it so you can see it. And so he's going tomorrow. I text him this morning. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for going. Thank you for finally listening to me. These are perfect for your investors. So if you don't have those relationships, real estate is relationship driven, and I've been in it so long. I have so many connections, and it's just like, don't be in it again. Get out. Get out.
Yeah,
So,
I think those inter office relationships, not just within your office, but building relationships and friendships with agents and other brokerages, so-called competitors, is really, really important.
for sure. Absolutely.
For so many reasons.
Absolutely.
So I understand what drew you to a real estate career. How did you, early in your career in real estate, how were you able to grow it quickly, and what was your strategy behind growing your business?
Yeah, at first, before Zillow wasn't the devil, which I think we all have a love-hate relationship with Zillow. At first, I used to do a little bit of online advertising with them, and I'd buy a zip code and I would get buyers. And most of those buyers were junk buyers. They weren't qualified, things like that. But then over the years, I realized, okay, Google Business is where it's at. And then so I started doing Google Business page ads. And then once I started really growing my business, I thought, okay, I can't rely on this forever. So how do I grow my sphere of influence? So I started getting involved in my local HOAs. So I tend to move around because I'm an investor. I'll live in a house for a couple years, 3 years, so I don't have to pay property gains taxes, and I'll flip it and I'll do it again. And so that's a way to create generational wealth, is to do that. And then I thought, I was teaching at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm going to join my local CrossFit gym, who my best girlfriend ended up being one of my best friends. Her name is Brooke Gonzalez. And I started training at CrossFit Gone Strong in the Katy area. And then from then, I mean, those people become your family. I mean, you see those people daily at the same class every day. And so it just became a referral network for me. And then those people refer out, and those people refer out. And so we like to keep things in-house from our little incestuous CrossFit family. If you know anything about it,
I do.
If you're a CrossFitter, you're going to have it in one conversation that you meet. Obviously, I'm doing it now, but that kind of became my world. And then from then, it just took off in a big way. And those people I can call those people anytime if I was homeless and said, I need a place to stay. And they'd be like, sure, Jamie, let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, CrossFit's definitely one of those concepts that comes to mind when I think of tribes.
Cultish, very cultish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm an Aggie. I'm a Texas A&M Aggie. That's cultish. So apparently I like cults. So.
Yeah. Well, I love the concept. One of my early podcasts that I've been producing for about 6 years here locally, the very first episode was with a CrossFit concept here, and a really successful concept locally. And because I was, brainstorming who has the following, who has the, that brand that just exudes so much loyalty and engagement with their members. And, that's one of those that really just stands tall when it comes to, building a tribe and just where it really becomes a lifestyle, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I tell agents all the time, whether it's church or joining your PTA or starting a run club or, you just get involved in your community. It's so easy to do. It's free. It's free to know people. I mean, that's your biggest ally. And the people that do that and have a natural sphere of influence are the agents that make it. Absolutely. If you don't, you're not going to make it.
Absolutely. So CrossFit, HOAs, any other local engagements? How did you? What are some other ways that you grew your local sphere, your local sphere of
Yeah, I
influence?
mean, I would go to the same locations all the time for dinner, and
Hmm.
if I wanted to have a cocktail with my husband, I would go to the same restaurants over and over weekly. I would go have the same lunch at the same place at weekly. And so when I did that, I realized that, those people are gonna they rely on you to be there. You're pumping money into their organization. Why wouldn't they pump money back into yours to give you some cash in your pocket? Hey, use Jamie. She's here. She's a great agent, whatever. And so it's just one of those game. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
That's a great point to bring up. I just had a conversation yesterday, recording for this podcast, with an agent in the Charleston, South Carolina market who has only been in the industry for a couple of years, and she achieved, I think, 15 million her first year, or maybe it was 10, but 25 in her first 2 years.
Yeah.
She was new to Charleston, brand new, no sphere, and the reason I bring it up is that your point about staying consistently showing up at the same places. Yeah. And your example was businesses. Her example was she drilled down and focused on just 2 master plan neighborhoods in the Charleston market.
Smart.
And she showed up constantly, consistently. She lived in one of them, which helped.
Yeah.
And just made that her sphere of influence, that she was just going to be an expert on those 2 communities.
Yeah, open house, create. I always tell agents, if there's not a neighborhood Facebook page, old people were on Facebook, not so much Instagram, and so create a neighborhood Facebook page. I have one agent on my team that consistently she protests property tax for her clients. So in Texas, I don't know if this is.
I have a friend in Texas who, a guy that I go way back with, that I still keep in touch with on Facebook, and he's constantly posting.
Yeah. Our taxes here, property taxes, are crazy because we don't have state taxes, and so. Is
it income tax that you don't have, or sales tax?
We don't have state tax. We have sales tax. We just don't have state tax. Yeah.
The state income. Okay.
Yeah. So we do property taxes here. And of course, school taxes. And so ours are a little bit higher. The neighborhood I'm in is like 2.3%. But in the newer neighborhoods that are out west in Houston, you're looking at 3.2. And so it gets up there.
Wow.
So if you've got a $500,000 to $1 million house, that's not fun. Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Jim is always, once in a while, pretty consistently, actually, I would say about once a month, he'll post something about property tax in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Facebook groups, that's another great way. Like, just build a tribe, right? Find a group that you can engage with. I love the running club idea. I've always thought I used to be a great runner. The older I get, the harder it gets. But I've gotten more into cycling, and I keep thinking, wow, maybe I should just show up with the same cycling group every week.
Every week. I promise you, because cyclers are also kind of that cuckoo mentality. I'm going to go cycle 100 miles on Saturday. And if you're there with them in the trenches, sweating it out and grunting and groaning, they're going to use you. I promise, Jeff. Promise.
Definitely. Yeah. Cyclists are an odd bunch for sure. I have so I follow totally off topic, the bicycle industry, sales, retail, bicycle retailers, and the mom and pop bicycle shops around the country are really having a hard time right now. And they boomed during the pandemic, and then bicyclists realized that they only needed one bike, right? Or they got out of the sport, so they're really suffering right now. And I keep half joking to my friends who one in particular owns a bike shop. I'm like, well, the problem with bicycle shops in America is that they're owned by bicyclists.
Yeah. They don't know what they're doing. Like, they have no business acumen. They're like, all right, let's go for a ride. Yeah.
I've seen how you guys interact with the public. It's just you need salespeople in there.
They're like engineers, and my spouse is an engineer. And, sometimes he's so analytical, and I'm just like, can you shut up, please, and like be a human? Turn off the robot. Let's be human. Yeah. So.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for indulging me as I digress here and there. I appreciate that. I do totally love the thought process of engaging with groups in your community or starting your own groups in your community to
Yeah.
build that sphere of influence, networking with agents outside of your office, elsewhere in the market as well. And
Yeah. So,
yeah,
well, not to interrupt, I always tell agents go to Inman conferences, go to the conferences, and they're like, why? It's all real estate agents. I'm like, because you need to learn from the best.
yeah,
If you're not learning and educating, I say always be learning. ABL, always be learning. That's my claim to fame. That's what I tell people. But if you're not learning, how are you going to get better?
yeah,
How are you going to
yeah.
get better? You're not.
You just encapsulated the whole inspiration behind this podcast, by the way. So,
Oh,
yeah. I totally agree. I
yeah.
think that I will never be. It doesn't matter how many years I've been in sales and marketing and customer service. I know that there's always more to learn. So,
Absolutely.
selfishly, a big purpose of this podcast is to get experienced agents like yourself on, so I can absorb, some of your
Yeah.
knowledge and experience, and hopefully listeners are as well.
Well, I would say most brokers don't put the time into their agents. So when someone joins our brokerage, I tell them you need to find a niche. And I said I know this sounds crass, but I always wanted to do an Inman talk on don't be a bitch, find your niche. Like I can find someone's niche within 10 seconds. Your niche should be bicycling.
Right.
That's your niche. That's your sphere. The end. That's all you need. So, yeah.
I also like boating. Should I do boating?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I've had a boat. That's the funnest day of your life, and the day you sell it
Yeah,
is also the
exactly.
best
Yeah.
day of your life.
Two
Yeah.
happiest days. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's funny. It's been top of mind lately too. But you're absolutely right about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, find a niche. That's a conversation I have all the time too. I think Seth Godin, one of my favorite marketing gurus, has been in the marketing game since the '80s, and he's always preaching pick a niche an inch wide and go a mile deep.
Absolutely.
Just and to your point, CrossFit, patronizing the same local businesses consistently, and I'm sure you're pretty strategic about which businesses those are, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all of those, and it reminds me that a lot of these I need to execute on more so in my own business. So
Yeah.
these are great reminders.
I mean, we all do, but we get busy and life gets in the way. And my biggest issue is work-life balance because
Yeah.
I still actively sell. I'm a broker that actively sells.
Mm-hmm.
So to, have that income and then the brokerage income and then combining them and making sure my agents are taken care of. So I have to learn how to delegate a little bit better. Delegation is my issue. So I think we all have our issues in real estate. And when you become more successful, you get more nervous to delegate because you don't want to let it go. You don't want to let it go of that control. But eventually, if you don't let that go, then you're not going to increase your sales. You're not going to increase the agents on your team. So I think it's very important for people to remember delegation is very key in this too.
I think that applies not only to real estate agents but business owners in general. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur or a business owner, for someone to relinquish control of certain tasks that they are so used to performing within the business
Yeah.
for so long, because it's hard to let go.
I
think
still
that's a
write my own
challenge.
contracts, Jeff.
Yeah.
Like I
Do you
still
really?
write my own. I am petrified to let a TC do it or a VA or any. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want somebody from across the world doing my contracts. I don't even want Joe Blow here doing my contracts. So, yeah. That's my bad. I know.
I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. But you still utilize a TC?
I've been in the industry for so long, and I just hired, it's a gal on my team, and her name's Tina Napoli, and I just started to relinquish a little bit of the reins, and I'll let her upload files and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's actually been very beneficial for me because I can sell more.
Yeah.
I can train more. I can sell more if someone else is doing that. So, yeah, I probably shot myself in the foot 20 times over not having a TC from the beginning, but yeah, you live and you learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. My guess is that you're going to find that that's going to be such a relief to have
Yeah.
someone that you can delegate a lot of that work to, and then, spend more time working on the business and
Yeah,
rather
for
than in
sure.
it, right?
For sure.
You've really covered this topic already, but I wonder if there's any other specific pieces of advice or tips that you would have for newer agents who are, maybe in their first year or two and feel a little stuck, are having difficulty with lead generation or growing their business in general. What advice or tips would you have?
You mentioned something about, find that, what'd you say? Find the inch and go the mile, find
Oh,
that niche
yeah,
and go, yeah. So I think most people do a lot of things
yeah.
instead of honing in on one thing that you're really good at. And
Hmm.
so one of the agents on my team, her name is Megan Cortez, came to me yesterday in the office. She's like, I have this idea. I think I'm going to spend $10,000 and I'm going to do a webinar. And I'm like, Megan, a webinar on what? Who's going to follow your webinar? Sellers. I want to be more listing agents, sellers. I'm like, do you know if this is going to work? I mean, I said, why would you do something brand new when she is postcard queen? She'll send out 1,000 postcards, spend $1,000, and have 15 people contact her back, and 3 of those she'll list. I said, so why would you do something for 10K when you don't know if it's tried and true? So if something is working, double down on that.
Absolutely.
Don't it's like it's gambling. You're gambling at that point. If you're going to double down on a 10,000 webinar, like who's going to listen to that? Let's double down on the postcards. Instead of sending out $1,000 in postcards, send out $2,000 in postcards on neighboring communities. So you're really capitalizing on the location and the niche location. She's like, and I had to remind her, I said, sometimes you just have to sit still and be still and listen. And so that's what I have to do too, because my mind gets going at 1 a.m. and I wake up and I'm like, oh, I've got
Yeah.
this idea, this idea. The hamsters start going in there. And so I told her yesterday, I said, just sit and listen. Sit and listen. What is working? What is not? Why spend $10,000 that you may or may not have and do something that might not be proven? So she really appreciated that talk yesterday. She's like, wow, you just talked me off the ledge with spending 10K on and lighting money on fire. I'm like, yeah. So go spend 2K now and, make 50,000 off of it rather than, 1K and make 25,000 off of it. So I'm so glad that we had that discussion. It was a good discussion to have.
Yeah, and I get the motivation there of where the feeling of educating potential clients is a great way of demonstrating your expertise and winning their business. But to your point, it's unproven. That particular method, she hasn't done it before. It might be something maybe worth trying if it was only cost a few dollars. Test it a little bit. But if you're finding success with postcards or direct mail, I've spent a lot of time over the last 6 or 7 or 8 years studying SEO and doing a lot of blogging. And when it comes to social media, blogging, YouTube, my email newsletter, I do what I've learned, what one marketer called the battleship method. And I don't know if you remember the battleship game.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get a hit, you start just pounding that area, right? You focus on that area.
Yeah, E7.
Yeah.
F7.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when I have a social media post or a blog post that, let's take a blog post, for example. When I have a blog post that ranks high in Google search and gets a lot of traffic, I start battleshipping that topic, and I start, producing content that ranks for semantic keywords around that topic. In a less nerdy, more understandable way for most people, let's talk about like social media posts. When I post something and it gets very little engagement, it's probably not worth doing again. But when you post something that does get a ton of engagement, start battleshipping that topic, right? Find an adjacent or adjacent topic or business or whatever it is that you're posting about, and just start tripling down on that topic, to your
Right.
point.
Right.
And the line from Seth Godin was, pick a niche an inch wide and go a mile deep. That was the one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pick a niche, go an inch wide and a mile deep. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to remember that for my agents.
I'll throw it in an email for you.
Yeah. I like that. I
It's a
like
tongue
that.
twister. It's easy for me because I've heard it 1,000 times from his podcast. So
Yeah,
it's easy for me to
definitely.
remember. Jamie, this has been really, really awesome. The only other topic that I had, well, there are two things I want to ask you real quick we can cover. Any recommendations for reading, podcast, training, or online resources?
I'd say I think everybody needs to read Rich Dad Poor Dad in
I
real
agree.
estate. I mean, I see agents running out there with red bottoms and driving Porsches, and they don't have two nickels to rub together. And so I think just basic business acumen is very important. There's so many people like you that have these podcasts. Start listening to podcasts with other agents that are killing it and crushing it. See who the agents are that have 450,000 followers on Instagram. I have a measly, like, close to 13,000, but my CEO has 450,000 followers. Julia Wang is like crushing it. And now she's in the luxury market. I mean, most of her houses are $1 million and above, which is high for Texas. We don't have high priced homes here. And so start following those people, seeing what they're doing. You're not going to be the next Julia Wang. I'm telling you right now. So all these agents that throw so much money at it, it's like find that niche, go an inch and go all the way into the mile marker, like you're saying. But yeah, that would be my biggest advice.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's great advice. And also when you find someone like Julia Wang.
Julia Wang, yeah.
Yeah. You can also, I don't specifically listen to specific podcasts as much anymore as I do. I'll search for those thought leaders who I want to follow, and I'll listen to, because they're always doing podcast tours,
Yeah.
right? They're at the circuit, and they're on various podcasts, or they're giving TEDx talks, or they're doing keynotes, and I'll find them on YouTube, and I'll just keep searching them and just keep like listening to their philosophies and their strategies. But yeah, I think that maybe spend a little less time listening to Sirius XM, which I do love, but and once in a
Investing
while,
in yourself.
yeah, invest in yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Jamie, what about future plans?
Future plans. I mean, I think my next go-to, I've been on a lot of radio and TV here recently because I launched the first Tesla homes in all of North America. They're completely integrated. And so I think I'm going to delve into a little bit of maybe looking at some of those solar properties to potentially do for myself to build. I had an offer to do a podcast with a local radio show host here that does it's called Real Estate Matters with Bill Napick. We're contemplating starting our own podcast together, just because he knows so many people and I know so many people. So I think that would be really cool to do with somebody who's also in the industry, but focus on lifestyle of Houston. There's so many people that want to move to Houston, and to showcase what we have as a mini, I call it a mini nation of Texas. I mean, Texas, we consider ourselves our own little island anyway. So why not showcase what's good about Houston so we have more people that come?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's brilliant. That's an excellent idea. And I think that's also a great idea for newer agents to consider, kind of dipping their toes into that sort of strategy, whether it's just a more informational social media blog or a website, email newsletter, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just, start becoming a resource and someone who's known as sort of an expert in your area.
Yeah.
And ring the bell and make it possible for people in other parts of the country to find you when they're looking for you, right?
Absolutely.
Jamie, again, I just want to thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank
This
you for
was
having me.
awesome. For listeners who want to learn more about you and connect with you, what's the best way?
JamieFallon.com. You can see me there. It's Jaime Fallon, like Jimmy Fallon, but way cooler, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, JamieFallon.com. They can call me 281-763-9825, my personal cell number. I'm happy to take on any questions they have.
Awesome. I'll have those links in the show notes for this episode, as well as the phone number. Jamie, thanks again so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. Take care. Have a great weekend.